Mark, how do you feel about our constitutional rights? Like the First and Second, Fourth Amendment?
Government is made to secure your rights. And the First Amendment is the freedom of assembly. The government is not to establish a religion. Freedom of speech. I'll just sit here and tell you that we really don't have those rights right now. I'm acutely aware of the freedom of assembly part of it, running this campaign. Now, I want to touch the religion part of it just for a second. I will swear an oath of office to uphold the United States Constitution. And that means that I will swear not to establish a religion. I happen to be a Christian. There are people in this nation who are not. I will swear to uphold their right to believe whatever they want to believe. The only limitations on that are whether or not they infringe on somebody else's life, liberty, and property. This is America. You can be an atheist, you can be whatever you want to be, as long as practicing your religion doesn't infringe on anybody else's rights. I needed to make that. I need to make that clear. Now, freedom of assembly. Do we have freedom of assembly here in America right now? I will argue that we do not. The fact is, and I've just experienced this. You know, Americans are rapidly trying to learn the United States Constitution that they weren't taught in school. And there's people my age that are getting together all over this nation in groups trying to learn what they should have learned a long time ago. And that's all well and good as long as you're just learning something. But when it comes time to engage in the political process, which that's where we are now, you know, these groups, people started to come to the top as far as wanting to run for a position. And when it comes time to running for a political office, then the rules change. You know, you'd think that, say here, you're having this meeting and you're talking about the congressional race, and somebody needs to run against the incumbent. And I raise my hand. I'm Mark French, and I'd like to run for Congress. And all my buddies, you know, I know them really well, and they say, "Hey, Mark, get up and give us a campaign stump speech." And I just knock it out of the park. And they're going, "Woohoo, yay, way to go, Mark. Everybody pass the hat, and let's all throw $20 in it, and we'll send Mark off for his congressional race." You know, from what I understand, that's illegal. There's campaign finance laws, and I haven't read the laws exactly, but this McCain-Feingold campaign finance reform has actually muzzled people, and we don't have freedom of assembly. We don't have, and which is freedom of speech also. Now, along with speech and religion, do we really have freedom of religion? Do we really have freedom of speech? Ask your current pastor if he can say anything he wants to say from the pulpit. The fact is that he can, because hopefully he has a constitution in his pocket. But according to the rules that apply to 401c3 status and things like that, he can't say, you know, my buddy Mark here in the congregation, he's running for Congress, and I'll tell you, I believe in him and I trust him, and I'm encouraging each one of you out here to vote for him. From what I understand, that's illegal, and so we really don't have that. Now, what about the Fourth Amendment? We've touched on the Fourth Amendment just a little bit. Being secure in your person. The Patriot Act walks all over that. We talked about the cell phone thing a little bit. You know, everybody has a cell phone, There's a GPS in the cell phone. The government can turn that on and track you wherever. Another thing with the Patriot Act, which is really tough for gun rights, is a federal agent can write his own search warrant. Doesn't even have to ask a judge for a search warrant. He can write his own search warrant and search you and take your weapon from you if he wants to. That's just not the American way. Gun rights are easy. The Second Amendment says that we have the right to bear arms. It doesn't stop there. It says it shall not be infringed. And we really don't have our Second Amendment rights. Along with our First, along with our Fourth, we don't really have our Second Amendment rights. We've allowed our Second Amendment rights to be taken away from us because we really don't have the right to bear arms shall not be infringed, because you have to have concealed weapon permits, and you have to get permission from the federal government to have a silencer and an automatic weapon and things like that. The intent of the Second Amendment didn't have a whole lot to do with hunting. It was understood in those days that everyone could hunt. The point of the Second Amendment was clearly about defending the average we the people against his own government. That's what it's all about. And so to ask for permission from the federal government to have gun rights, it defeats the purpose. So there's where I stand on the Second Amendment, that we shall have the right to bear arms and they shall not be infringed.